The bandwidth for this episode of the AR-15 podcast is sponsored by the Firearms Radio Network. Firearmsradio.tv.
I have with me today a special guest, Mr. Marty Daniel, President of Daniel Defense. Marty, thank you very much for joining us today and giving us an opportunity to talk to you.
My pleasure to be here, Reed.
Well, Marty, I've had an opportunity to kind of scour my available resources and get a little bit of your backstory. So I understand that you're an electrical engineer. Is that the case?
That's correct.
And so after getting your engineering degree, I understand that you began a company that basically specialized in overhead doors and garage doors. Is that the case?
That's right. I was one of those kids in college that really kind of didn't know what they wanted to do. I think my daughter's experiencing that right now. She's a sophomore, a freshman in college, and she really doesn't know what she wanted to do. And I was kind of in the same boat. Went into electrical engineering because it sounded cool. I actually failed out of school a couple of times. Maybe I don't know if that's the story you want to cover today, but yeah, didn't know exactly what I wanted, and my college partner had bought into his dad's business, and I ended up buying out his dad because they didn't seem to work out, and so we were in the garage door business for a few years, and then I bought him out, I think, in '93, and so from that time until we sold that company, I was in the garage door business for 15, 20 years or so.
Well, I take it at some point you decided that there was a need for some parts for the firearms that you began using. Is that a kind of a rough summation of what led you to make that first batch of products?
Absolutely. Actually, the story goes, my golf game was so bad that I gave it up and took up shooting as a hobby. I had grown up hunting with guns, but never really focused on shooting, the shooting sport as a hobby of target shooting and defensive shooting. And so I was doing those things and just really fell in love with the AR platform. I had early Colt, which I wanted flat top uppers for. Nobody made such an animal, and I talked a guy into building 100 for me. I only needed 4, so set up a website to sell the other 96, and that's how the company started. We sold those first products in 2001, but even at that point in time, I knew that it was fun, and it was just really very rewarding that people enjoyed the products that we built. We started from there and went into some very small sling loops and then into various parts and components and creating new ideas that people hadn't done before. And we just had a great feedback from people enjoying our products, which today still is one of the drivers. Is people enjoying our products and people receiving our products and being blown away by the quality and the craftsmanship that goes into our firearms.
Well, Marty, tell me, when it came down to the point where you began to really kind of see the possibility of creating Daniel Defense as a company cut from whole cloth, was it an gradual evolution, or was there a eureka moment where you realized that now was the time for you to kind of change tracks from the company that you had been working before and running to this new animal that you'd basically come upon?
Well, there's probably a half a dozen of those, but two that stick out in my mind are one was probably around 2004. When I walked out of the bank with my dad, and he had just signed his name to a note to co-sign a note for the company, and had put the family farm up as collateral. And I realized at that point, wow, this is not this is not a hobby anymore. It's a real business. I've got to pay this back one way or the other, and so that was really one of the key moments, and then I think that the other key moment was, I think, 2008. There was one day, literally one day, where I walked up to my wife and I said, this garage door business is going downhill. The housing market's horrible right now, and there's not any money to draw a check out of here, because I had been drawing a check out of one company to help build the other. That's what entrepreneurs do. That's just what we do. And I said, but wait a minute, there's some money, there's a little bit of money in Daniel Defense. I can actually maybe start drawing a check out of here. So really in one day I shift from being paid from one company because I couldn't get paid from that company. I was blessed enough to have the other company far enough along to be able to be paid out of that company the same day.
Now Marty, everything I've seen tells me that Daniel Defense has just really been steadily growing and increasing. I understand, is it 2 facilities that you have now?
That's correct. We've got a 40-something thousand square foot facility here in Black Creek, Georgia, which is where I am today, and over about 45 miles from here in right across the river in South Carolina in Ridgeland, we have a 90,000 square foot facility there.
And so with that kind of growth and the employees that you've been able to bring on, do you think at this point, are you just only still kind of past those beginning growing pains? Is there a whole lot of Daniel Defense yet to come that's sitting in there in your horizon, in your imagination, that you're going to be striving towards? Yeah,
Reed, I see us really over the next 20 years continuing to grow at on a very similar path that we've been growing. We've been taking market share in a market with good competitors, and we have earned the right to do that. And I think that the next models that come out, we're going to continue to do that. And then at some point there'll be another gun, and we'll take our market share there, and then there'll be another gun after that, and another gun after that. And so I think 20 years from now, I see us as a well-established multi-gun company that with an established market share and a growing business. And so I think that the future is very bright for Daniel Defense. We're very established, and we've worked very hard at not only gaining the market share, the marketing capabilities, the customer base, customer loyalty, but also in the know-how of how to build guns. And we own the know-how to build almost every single component of a gun, and the ones that we don't have at all, we're working on. And so we are absolutely excited about building every single component in the gun so that we can understand it. And so and then as we understand it, we can build on that so that we can always build the absolute best product in the world.
Now, Marty, I understand based on that, you're basically talking about vertically integrating your company, and you have the capability of manufacturing all of your barrels in-house, don't you?
That's correct, and every other component in the gun.
So at this point, are you kind of insulated, do you think, aside from getting the raw stock, from the ebbs and flows of demand and crises that kind of hit companies these days?
We have been affected by that in the past. Reed, one of the things that we've had 2 reasons to drive toward manufacturing. One is know-how, and we do need to understand how to build every single component and how to be the best at building every single component. But there's been a catalyst that's driven us toward that at a faster rate, and that is in the past where we've bought some product and built some product and then had a problem getting supply. We've just put the equipment in place to do it ourselves, and so we are really positioned in a great place right this minute. Even last year we had some bottlenecks and it's strange, the bottlenecks were coming out of very small components that you didn't think a company could ever run out of, and yet it did, and it's just because it's been such a dynamic market over the last few years. But we're even down to the details of the small pins and all all of the small components that go into a rifle, and we have the capability and the capacity to build those products. So our capacity last year was I think we built 32,000 guns last year. Our maximum capacity, had the year not tapered off at the end of the year, was probably about 40,000. We've invested the second part of last year and now have product equipment up and running. Our capacity probably somewhere around 100,000 guns. So we've really increased our ability to produce product, and we are steadily working at building new and exciting products and process improvements and improvements on the components that we're currently building, because we want to be the best. If we're already the best, we want to be better.
That brings to mind a question. Do you have men and women in your company that would essentially be the equivalent of an R&D department that are basically out there trying to capitalize on the skill sets to bring that innovation, those improvements, the quality to the things you manufacture? Or is it kind of a holistic, company-wide, everybody is pitching in to be a part of that process?
We have a definite engineering R&D department, and yet a lot of the young engineers that we hire, we bring them in. We start them out in the tool shop. We start them out grinding and milling and turning just on manual machines, so they're learning what it really means to take material off of a piece of steel or a piece of aluminum. And so they go through that process for 6 months or so, and then we put them out on the floor and we let them learn what it means to get a work order through a process, and how to improve a process. And our processes are always continuing to improve. We're getting better. We have breakthroughs on a weekly basis where somebody improves a process, and we took some waste out of the system and saved some time, saved some money, and so we're just constantly getting better. And these young people need to learn all of these things before they become designers. It's important to understand the piece of equipment that's going to build a component, so that you can then be a better designer of that component. And then we use those same engineers to actually work on the designs that we build. So we have a very broad team of engineers that are mostly working on manufacturing, but they become our design engineers over time as well. So they're doing maybe 10% of their work is design work, but at the end of the day, the design is only about 10%. There's about 90% of time it takes to get a product from design to the floor, and that's what our other team of engineers does. And then, of course, those guys are able to pick those products up. That a guy's working in a certain cell, he's working on the design of a new part that goes in that cell. He's able to bring that into his cell and produce it a lot quicker, because he understands that he designed it and he's going to get it to market.
Now, it sounded like a little earlier you indicated that you might have some new firearms beside our favorite black rifle here on the horizon. Is this something that's like near term, or is this kind of still a ways out?
This is definitely a ways out, Reed. We teach our salespeople all the time: do not sell something until it's ready, until it's on the shelf, because we have some stuff on the shelf we want to sell today, and we want to focus on those things. But we do have some new models of guns that we have been working on and producing, and they are really selling well. And we didn't do over the last year. We didn't do a lot of. We had a lot of ideas, but we didn't produce a lot of new ideas because the market didn't need the ideas at that point in time. We were selling everything we could make, and now it's time to let some of those ideas out the bag. And we've done that through new models and a new color, I think, and maybe another new color's on the way in the near future. And so yeah, we're we massage the spigot as we need to. We need to produce a steady flow of guns to be profitable, not high one year, low the next year. So we do things to help smooth those things out.
Now, when it comes down to a moment in the company's life when you're faced with this gigantic hammer of demand that in many cases outstrips the ability of some companies to meet, do you find yourself sitting here having to make a choice of what is the prudent volume of merchandise to get into the market versus the temptation to just flood the market with everything you can throw out the door and then sacrifice on quality maybe or quality control because you have to accelerate the pace? Do you find that being one of the choices you have to make, and is it a tough one if you do?
Well, first of all, we never sacrifice on quality, and we are able to produce huge amounts of components and follow our quality follows through the process. Everybody in the company's trained from day one, quality first, and they're part of the process that they do to produce an individual part is in-process checks, and then the quality department checks off, and it's just very rare that we ever have a quality problem that makes it to the customer, because we do have quality problems, but we always catch them
right
before they get out the door, which is what makes a great quality department. And we have done some incredible growth. We've done it by purchasing components. We've done it by building our own components. We've done it. It's just the last couple of years has been an amazing journey. Really, the last 11 years has been an amazing journey. We grew. Last year we only grew by 88%. The 10 years before that we averaged 100% a year. For the 10 years from 2002 to 2012 we grew 1,000%. So it's just been an incredible ride. And in the middle of that, as you're bringing up, 2009 was another big high swing and then a downswing on the other side of that. We grew in 2010 where most people didn't. We're expecting to grow. It'll be a small amount this year, but we're expecting to grow this year as well in a market where most people won't. And it's just because we're taking market share in a growing industry, and we finally this year have an opportunity. This is an opportunity year for us to really expand our dealer base and expand our market share, because there are a lot of great customers who just hadn't been able to buy our product, and we're excited that we're now able to supply them with our great products.
Well, we had a chance to go out, several of our hosts and producers, to the SHOT Show, and we were there at Media Day, and we got a chance to stop by the Daniel Defense booth. And I've got to tell you that and for your edification, the listeners may know this, but my background in the black rifle came through military service. And of course, I was a Reagan Marine, so our black rifle was nothing like the one that is being manufactured or sold today. But in handling the rifles that you had out there at the range, I was very impressed with a great many of the things that I saw. The fit, the feel of the components. There was just a great deal of attention, it seemed, paid to the manufacturer. And in shooting those rifles, I was very impressed with their handling. And the one thing that caught my eye was that those rifles are sporting new stocks and new pistol grips that I believe are Daniel Defense exclusive items. Is that the case?
Yeah, that's the case at this time. We had been working on those for quite some time, and I was listening to a documentary on Harley Davidson, and they talk about the design shop and the style shop, right? And so it never gets out. The designers can design something, but it never gets out the door until the style people say it's okay. And we kind of do that here as well. And I think we've created a buttstock pistol grip combination that really has its own unique style and has never, nothing quite like it has ever been done. And it's very subtle, and so when you pick it up, what you'll notice is that you like it, and you won't really notice what it is you like, but you'll notice that you like it. And I think that we're very blessed to be able to see those differences and be able to tweak something to get it just so the customer really sees something that they really like, but maybe they don't even know why.
You know, Marty, that seems to be the hallmark of everything that you find out there in the world about your products. You know, it is always virtually universal that people talk about the quality, people talk about that attention to detail that comes in, through in the rifles and the products that you guys sell to the retail side. You know, obviously, you're always going to have people that are not happy that they can't just go out and pick one up at the store. But of course, the world being what it is, you sometimes have to wait for something that's good. But tell me, when it comes to your rifles, do you sell them with the perspective that it's the Cadillac of rifles, that you're not selling a base model, run-of-the-mill ground floor model, but that you guys are selling essentially finely tuned instruments here?
Yeah, I mean, it's in our nature and it's in our teachings that we do as a company to build the one of our goals is to build the absolute best firearm in the world, and to build those firearms and sell them at a price which is not the highest price, so that we're creating the best value for our customer.
Right.
And there are two types of customers that buy our products. There's the customer that uses the product like a farmer uses a pickup truck, right? And then there's the customer who uses the product like his brand new Lamborghini. And so we have both of them are functional, right? And both of them get you from point A to point B. But a farmer he'll drag stuff over the side of his truck and not worry about whether he scratches it or not. Right. But the guy who owns a Lamborghini, he doesn't even want anybody close to his vehicle because he doesn't want to scratch on it. And so so it has to be, our guns have to be very, very functional, and they have to always be functional, and that's our number one priority. But we also have that same customer, and we don't pick which gun we sell what to, so we've got to satisfy both of those customers with every gun we produce. And so we do a very good job of producing the highest quality in terms of functionality, and then also focus on the highest quality in terms of fit and finish and style as well.
Well, Marty, I'm going to ask, I guess it's a kind of obscure question. When it comes to the company, what is the biggest challenge you've had to face to live up to that expectation of quality and performance?
I think, Reed, the biggest challenges were the early years. Our quality programs weren't quite as robust as they are today, and to be honest with you, we were hiring a lot of stuff out to subcontractors, and we didn't, we couldn't watch what they did. We would receive a batch of parts in, and we'd find problems. And the biggest thing in my mind that sticks out as the biggest things that we did is just for years we threw a lot of parts in the trash that were just almost good enough, that just were very close, and we just, they were just not good enough, and so we threw them in the trash, and so we don't do much of that anymore, but we still do a little bit from time to time where a machine gets out of whack. But yeah, it's that, I think that was the biggest hurdle. I mean, it's one thing to, it's when you're a small company as we were for several years, those decisions were big decisions, and they were very hard to swallow. But we knew it was the right thing to do, and we knew our customers would appreciate it long term.
Well, my background gives me the insights into companies and the corporate world. So, Marty, as you've grown and as the company has grown, was there a point where you, or has there been a point where you've had to basically bring in good upper-level management and executives to help you hit those growth plateaus, or at this point, are you still very much fingers on everything that's going on in the company today?
I would say both. As a matter of fact, we just hired a new COO, which was part of my wife's job, and that was, we've been fortunate, we've been blessed, to talk about to get from where we've been to where we are. Part of it's just blessing, and in that blessing, a lot of times it's the right people at the right time, and yet some of those people truly were huge steps forward for the company, and I would encourage young businesses, if there are any listening, that if you plan to grow your business to a large business or to a mid-size or large business, to spend the money on the talent, because there are people that I have working for me who can do things that I can't do, and you're better off to hire the absolute best at whatever their cost than to hire 3 or 4 that can't do what can't do what the one person can do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we have a very, very good staff of people, and we pay people well, and we have our team is committed, and they love to come to work, and we are always improving, and I just see us for the next, as long as I'm alive, I see us just continuing to drive forward. And I say that I probably should back up and say, I think at some point I'll pass, and I think this company will still continue to drive forward just because we've created such a great team. And I still have my finger on a few things, and it's because I want to, not because I have to.
Right. Well, Marty, tell me, I think that a lot of the entrepreneurial businesses that I've encountered in my professional career, I think that there is always division in many of those individuals, that there is going to be a second, maybe even a third generation come along. Do you see that for your company?
I think it's very rare in a business that grows as ours has for a second generation to take over and do well. It's just rare. It does happen, but it's rare. And so that is on the table or off the table for me. I believe in my team. I would never put one of my children in place in this company if they weren't prepared and weren't the right person for the job. I would never do that, because the team is too important to me, and the brand is too important to me, and yet if that were to work out, if they were the right person, there are advantages. We have today, Reed, an advantage over our competitors, and that is that there's no Mr. Smith or Mr. Wesson or Mr. Colt that can do this interview with you, and so that's a huge advantage. I think that we have over our competitors, and so we understand that, and we want to take advantage of that. And so I think moving to a next generation would also have that positive capability, but that would have to be weighed only with being the absolute perfect person for the job.
Well, my father practiced law in Texas. He started in 1970, and told me that I should never follow his footsteps. And sure enough, being the stubborn man I was, I did exactly that. But I know that I can tell you I spent quite a few years doing all of the things that were at the very bottom of the list of things to do in an office. And so if you did have one of your children come in, would they start out on the machines like the engineers do, and kind of?
Absolutely. I mean, I learned to work at a young age. I grew up farming, picking tobacco, and baling hay, and back to failing out of college. my mom got me a job at a sawmill when I fell out of college, and she continued my education because it was very, very hard work. And I ended up going back to school and graduating from the same school after they had sent me a letter that said, "Please do not come back." The interesting thing is now I'm on the board of advisors at the engineering school that I failed out of twice, and so that was kind of a fun day to tell that story when they invited me to do that, and yet we're working with them to try to improve what students are coming out of school and what manufacturing needs out of young engineering students, and so yeah, I think that my children, if they came in, would absolutely have to learn to work. I used to sell watermelons and boiled peanuts on the side of the road to make $1, and so we, it's amazing as you look back at your life at all the things you did that prepared you for where you are today. Those sawmill years, you know what a sawmill is? It's a big manufacturing plant.
Yeah.
It starts out with a raw material and it ends up with a finished good, and it has a lot of steps in between that the sawmill industry has done a lot of automating, and so it's helped me understand how to move product through our plant. The same thing with tobacco picking. The farmers were one of the first automators. If you ever drove a combine, which I've done, it's amazing at all the processes that used to be separate processes that are all being done at once in a combine, in a peanut combine or a corn combine.
My father's from Pennsylvania, western Pennsylvania, and there's a whole lot of farming up there. So he talks about his granddad's farm, and of course that was back when he could lay down in a field and see B-17 bombers coming back from the war. So that was a long time ago, and I don't think they had nearly as much technology then as they do today. But I get regaled with stories all the time.
There was some very hard work that we did, but we also had a lot of fun, and I think that's where I learned to love to work, and so today I've found myself in a situation where I love to work. I love to come to work. I love to accomplish things. I love to improve things, and I love to be creative, and so I have all these opportunities to do those things, and I'm surrounded by a group of people who are very much like me, that love to come to work and do what they do every day. And so I think team is one of the most important things in a business. I mean, business is about process and it's about relationship, and it's about people. And if you've got the right team, you can. There's no limit to what you can do. And if you got the wrong team, you're just beating your head on the wall.
Well, it sounds like you've done a lot of the good and right things that you need to do to grow a business. And of course, I think you're right when you talk about having the blessings of the good Lord to help you make good decisions and find good people and capitalize on good decisions. But when you sit here today with Daniel Defense and all it's done, is there a point where you'll say, I'm going to step back now? I've brought in all the right people. I've got all the right people doing the things they need to do. That you're just going to take that 30,000-foot view of the company and just kind of make sure that you nudge it here and nudge it there, but be more essentially hands-off? Or do you think you're always going to be that guy that comes into the office, always going to be the one that comes in and wants to walk the floor and talk to your people out there and just always have the pulse of the company underneath your fingertips?
As you asked that question, I'm answering yes to all those things, because I kind of do all those things now. I do believe that if you want people to be successful, you have to let them run. You have to give them path and then let them run on it. And I do make the fences, the left and right fences, and I do let them know if they're getting too close to the fence. But then I let them run. I let them run and do their job, and they enjoy that. They enjoy not being told how to do every single thing. And a lot of times I show up. I've got an engineering process improvement meeting coming up next, and I'll go in and ask questions. I don't give answers. I just go in and ask questions. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And spark conversations, and then they figure out, they come to the best conclusions, and they run with them. And so, yeah, I'll one of the things that I probably will be the last thing I take my finger off is, I'm part of the design process, and I'm the guy who kind of checks off to make sure every new item is produced the way that it's like I want it before it goes out the door. So, I think that I'm going to continue to want to be that sign-off. I get, there are times where I get 2 or 3 iterations, and any of them would be successful over our competitors because they're good. But I'm just very peculiar about, staying on it, taking a little bit more time to get it just right. And I'm blessed with that capability, and so I'll probably keep my finger in that more so than others. But more importantly than that, just the customer relationships that we want to build and continue to build. We do know all of our bigger customers, and the vendor relationships that we still have that we want to continue to grow. Our employee relationships. We spend time with our employees. We do cookouts, once a month, and we actually it's probably been a couple months now since we've done that, so I think we're overdue. But we love to do things that build relationship, and I will definitely be involved in all of those things. And I think I'll be able to turn loose of more things in the near future and be able to do more of those things. But I will always, I'm not the guy that's gonna own a company and not run it. I'll be running the company, but it'll be in the right way to allow people to grow and allow them to to really enjoy what they do and feel like they're part of the decision making.
Well, it kind of sounds like you arrived at the firearms industry after you had been well-trained, well-educated, and well-versed in what it was to be a leader and to run a company.
Yeah,
like you've done all the right things.
Yeah, we learned a lot of things in the garage door business that still apply here today. I run into some of my old customers who I had great relationships with, and we just do the same thing in the gun business. We get to know people, and we when they have a problem, we try to figure out how to help them solve their problems, and they appreciate that. A lot of times it's not the thousands of guns you delivered on time to somebody, although that's very important. But sometimes it's when they're having a problem. It's how do you go above and beyond and try to help them figure out how to solve their problem. And we're just all over that. We want to help our customers. We want to help our vendors, make more money on the products that they sell us. How can we, if we learn something that we're building on our machines, most of the times when we have vendors, we're an A and they're a B, or they're A and we're a B supplier for our MRP system. And so when we learn something, we try to share that with our vendors, because we want them to be, to make more money, and because that's good for them. And so yeah, we've learned a lot of things over the years, and we're still continuing to learn. And I'm a reader. I read a lot. Read a lot of magazines and books, and I'm trying to pick out pieces that fit into our organization that we need to remember, and so that seems to help.
Well, tell me, we've talked all about your company, but I really want to give us a minute to talk about the rifles that you guys are manufacturing right now. So, of your lineup, is there anything that Daniel Defense is just incredibly stoked about these days?
We just released a new color. It's called Mil-Spec Plus. It's the same color of the rail systems that we produce for our special forces, and we produced a gun that has that same color on the upper, the lower, the rail system, and the furniture. And it's just a beautiful gun, and for those people who like style, I think we really have reached a new place with that product, and so I'm really excited about getting one myself. I can always tell, when we're doing a prototype or we're doing a new model, I can always tell how the market's going to respond, and the way I figure that out is the first time I see it, I think, wow, I want one of those, and that means it's going to sell really well.
Now, being the president, does that mean that you get to be first in line?
Well, I get to be if I want to, but I'm not always. But I do end up getting what I want. But yeah, usually it's customers that are getting them first. So until it backs off a little bit.
Well, I'm looking at the Mil-Spec Plus rifles right now, and that is a pretty dang amazing rifle there. You've got your entire lineup in that particular, I guess, coloration and setup then, right?
We've got several of not our entire line, but several of our models, and I'm not sure I'm the right guy that could speak to which ones are which. It's amazing how over the years, when 10 years ago I was packaging products up, putting them in a box and shipping them out the door along with 2 other people. We were a very small company, and today, if you ask me how much a gun costs, I really can't tell you. And if you ask me which models are which, sometimes I get a little bit confused on those as well. But we depend on our marketing department to tell us what customers are wanting, and we depend on our production people to get those things built and out to the market. And I'm more aware of how much what the P&L looks like and what cash is doing than I am over
right.
all the details of the guns anymore.
Well, when you guys decided to get into the barrel making business, was that a pretty substantial investment to get the equipment into your facilities to actually do the work, or is it not all that equipment intensive to make your own barrels?
Yeah. There's a lot of equipment. We've probably got $10 million in just barrel making equipment today. And so the first step we're able to buy some used equipment, which helped. But it was a huge investment, and we chose to buy a hammer forge and to hammer forge product because we felt like that it was from some detailed studies that we had done. We felt like that was the best way to produce the straightest, most accurate barrels, and so we bought a hammer forge. Had no idea what we were doing, and we started producing barrels, and we learned. First couple of years we learned a lot, and we're still learning. I think we're probably building the best barrel made in the U.S. today, but we're still learning. There's still things we're learning that are improving what we're doing, and we're doing a lot of studying on finish and a lot of studying on heat treatments, and it's amazing how we talked about school, and I remember finally graduating from college and thinking I'll never study another day in my life, and now I find myself, it's part of what I do every day is studying and trying to help our company get better and always improve.
Well, so you've got the ability to make virtually all the parts in-house. At what point are you guys going to buy yourself a foundry so that you can get all your alloys and steels manufactured by yourselves?
Well, don't think it hadn't crossed my mind, but we're going to be a little while before we get there, I'm afraid. We do have some great partnerships with our steel makers and those who forging makers and molders, extruders. We still are not doing those parts of the process, but we have great relationships with those folks, and it'll be quite some time. It might be, maybe that's a 30-year plan. I don't know, but today for the next 20 years, we're probably going to still be continuing to buy those components. Well,
perhaps one day in business school they'll be talking about Marty Daniel as the Rockefeller of the firearms industry.
That'd be quite an accomplishment to be considered in the same sentence with Rockefeller, for sure.
Well, Marty, is there anything today that we haven't covered that you'd like to let our listeners know about? You've got a wonderful company and wonderful rifles, but I know that I am probably skipping half the things that are of the most importance to you today that you'd like to share.
I think we've covered the fact that we sell the highest quality product at a reasonable price, so we feel like we have the best value in the market. And that's very important for your listeners to know. I think also many of your listeners are women, and there are, there's the women shooting market is very low compared to men, as you know, and my thought that would go out to women is that, we have a rifle that weighs less than my wife's pocketbook, and it's very low recoil, very fun to shoot, and if you ladies will give it a chance, you'll fall in love with it, just as the men do, and we would love to have you as a customer as well.
Well, that is an absolutely outstanding point, Marty. So I tell you what, we'd love to have you on again at some point in the future, and I am absolutely certain that we could gather up a cadre of producers and hosts to come out and take a tour of your facility if that might be an option. But I am just really, really excited and really humbled by the fact that you would sit down and talk with me and tell me about the company that you've grown from very humble beginnings into something that I think any American could be proud to look at and call part of the tapestry of American industry.
Thank you, Reed. I appreciate your time, and you are welcome to come, and we'll show you our facilities and let you meet some of our folks and see the smile on the faces most of the time of all the folks getting the job done here.
Well, that would be outstanding. Marty, thank you once again for coming on to the show, and we really do appreciate your time. I know it's valuable, so we're going to go ahead and sign off and let you get back to making America's best rifle.
All right. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that.
All right.
This has been a production of the Firearms Radio Network. You can find more information at firearmsradio.tv.